All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with Larry Ballard. He always brings amazing PowerPoint presentations together to help us understand what's going on. Today, we're going to be talking about Africa Rising. And we just saw the big spectacle that happened with South African president. Say his name.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
All right, that one. So we just and we just we saw that big spectacle play out. So we're going to be talking about why Africa now is going to be like the mecca of minerals. It's going to be the most sought after land on this planet, right, Larry?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be like the Oklahoma gold rush, or like the gold rush of back in the 1800s, correct? It's going to be just the prize, right?
Well, it ties into energy. Energy is absolutely essential, and you can't do modern technology without this 51 minerals that we need, and Africa's got them all.
I mean, is Africa the only place that has them? Or I know. What
no,
about
but
Antarctica?
they have an abundance. Here's what happened. God's pretty smart. He eventually wants us to be standing in unity. There's no nation that has every one of the minerals, but Africa has probably more than any other. So we're all going to be interdependent, which is going to, if we're going to have the energy rush that we're going to have, it's going to force cooperation. So there's sunlight and sunshine at the end of this story.
Interesting. All right, and we're going to play it out for you guys. Well, he's going to lay it out. All right, here we go, folks. Get your collagen. Get your collagen. One of the biggest factors behind aging is a drop in our body's natural collagen production. This collagen drop starts in your 20s, and by your 40s and 50s, your skin is basically starving for it, leading to visible signs of aging like wrinkles, saggy skin, joint discomfort, and brittle nails. Unfortunately, most collagen supplements on store shelves don't provide the nutrients and absorption your skin deserves. This is why I take collagen, and I'm obsessed with how much it improves my skin. This amazing multi-collagen provides 5 types of premium collagen that my body actually needs to rebuild skin from the inside out. My results are smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, and a youthful glow. Plus, it mixes easily into my coffee or tea, which I take it every day with my coffee. It has no flavor, no clumps, making it easy to stir and not stick to the edges. Help rejuvenate your skin with ageless multi-collagen while it's 51% off now. The link will be down below, folks. Plus, order today to receive a VIP live health and fitness coaching for life or a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Once again, this offer is only available for a limited time only, and you get it below, folks. So get your collagen. That's the most important supplement I take. That's for damn sure. I don't want to be looking old, but we're all getting there. My parents, there's no avoiding it, but just try to look as good as you can until you get to that point, I guess. Oh, boy. All right. So, Larry, what do we do? I'm going to go ahead and share the screen.
Yeah, pop the first screen up. Basically, the first video. We're going to go real fast through the slides. I want plenty of room for you and I to have a dialogue. So pop up the first one. All right, folks, what I want to tell you is I'm going to be launching my own channel, and I've got a new book coming out, hopefully on August the 15th. So if you're interested in finding out more about me and my new channel, click on that QR code over there, and you can start following me. Let's go on down to the next slide. We're going to go through this fastly, plenty of time for Nino and I to talk. Africa has become the quintessential nation. As Nino was saying, every nation in the world now has to have what Africa has. It's going to be like what happened in 73 with OPEC, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's go on down. And here's what I want to show you. I do shows that are different than other people. Other people intersect the news cycle and they talk about what's happened today, and that's it. I have been at this for 56 years. I have an almost photographic memory. I never stop at what happened today. I go back and I connect the dots. So what we're seeing is Trump is a master of getting a hold of that news cycle. He says things that are bombastic, that are unbelievable. He does things that seem to be absurd, but he always comes out on top. So look over here on the right-hand side of this. The master deal maker has made 13 offers to 13 major African countries and been turned down every time. Why? Because they weren't really offers as we think of them. They were exposures. They were exposing what's happened. So now to pick this story up that's on the news line today, like Nino was talking about South Africa. We're going to get to that in a second. We have to go back a few years. And at the end of the Civil War, after 34 years, America said, we are now the wealthiest nation in the world. That's where Africa's headed. And here's what they said. 34 years of what tariffs and infrastructure development, and America is today the leader in three things, and Africa is going to be there in probably 10 years. We were the leader in manufacturing, the leaders in mining, and the leaders in agriculture. That's what you have to have if you're going to be a leader in the world. Africa is on a path to get leadership in all three of those critical areas. And so here's
but we would have to calm the genocide and civil wars within that country, right? I mean, they're constantly fighting with each other.
That's all going to happen. We'll get into that in a second, and we can stop and have a conversation on it. But what I want to show you here is you can't look at today's news cycle. So this goes back to 2023, and what you see is that a General Michael Langley was roasted. He's at the House Armed Services Committee by Matt Gaetz, and here's what happened. He pulled out of him an acknowledgement. Guess what? America has trained forces that have gone to Africa who have been used in military coups. That's the hegemony that's been going on for 300 years with Africa. That's all going to change. So the fact that they brought this out 2 years ago shows us that we're disclosing, and the world's going to change. Let's go on down, and I think we're right to where you were. So basically, Trump is doing deals and saying things that are bombastic. Don't look at that. Look at the fact that it's dripping information to us to disclose things. So basically, I mean, think about this. You're the leader of a country. You're the leader of a corporation. You're Donald Trump, the master negotiator, the five-level chess player, and you're saying these things. He wants you to cut ties with China if you want to do business with us. He wants to hold.
I mean, he wants all of BRICS gone, huh? All BRICS, cut ties with Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
Yep, that's South America. That's South Africa, and basically he wants them to. He wants to have here. He realizes that America is not going to come out of this orchestrated reset as the undisputed world leader, as the undisputed currency of the world. We're no longer going to be the sole world's reserve currency. So he's fighting to have a soft landing, and he needed to get BRICS out, South Africa out from under BRICS so he could have that soft landing. His goal is to come out of this reset and have not 100%, but 61% of all the trade in the world denominated in U.S. dollars. So that still gives him that leverage that we have right now.
So he's going to war. He's going to war with BRICS.
He's going to war with disclosure. He wants everybody to basically know that the whole world has been committing hegemony against Africa. And so the things that he's doing, he's making deals. I stepped back and I looked at this. I spent 40 hours last week just watching videos. None of the deals that he offered would I accept, or would you accept, or would anybody accept. They were just to shine a spotlight on the absurdity of what we've done to Africa well, let's just pick it up at the end of World War II, and they supposedly got their freedom. They got their freedom in name only. They've still been controlled and suppressed. So you wanted to go to South Africa? There it is. Basically, get out from under BRICS. And then you go to Kenya. So look, think about these. He wants control of their ports and their highways and their infrastructure in order to do a mineral deal. And then you go to Ghana. And what's he want? He wants U.S. bases. That means we've made them a target. And he wants power to, catch this, veto Chinese projects. Wow. I mean, my God, is anybody gonna sign up for that? And then you go to Tanzania, and if you remember Africa, you remember Bill Gates, you remember the Poland, you remember that we used them as guinea pigs, and we made deformed babies and all kinds of people in Africa with our tests. So he's saying, I want pharmaceutical trials in Tanzania with minimal supervision. And they just laugh. All of these things are things that are laughable. He knows No government in Africa is going to agree to any of these, but what it's going to do is bring out the absurdity of the hegemony policies that America and that Europe and that China and the whole world has been imposing on Africa because they thought they could control them because they were impoverished. When you see the course that China that Africa is charting right now, it's going to blow your mind, folks. I don't think people have any understanding of the potential of Africa. And furthermore, they don't have any understanding of the things that they have developed in the last few years. They're going to be a technological innovator. Let's go on down and we'll get into some more bombastic offers that he's made. But let's stop. You wanted to talk about South Africa. Is there anything else in this so far that you'd like to comment on?
No, just go ahead.
All right. So these are what I consider to be the three most absurd ones of all. This first one, 𝗂𝗂𝗍𝗂, he offered them a democracy package. Now, wait a minute. I call that hypocrisy. The nation that has had that we believe maybe it had its election stolen, that we are saying that maybe the judges have been bought, paid for, whatever you want to say, wants to teach democracy to the world. This is the nation that Gates forced out of a four-star general that we had done coups in Africa, and we want to teach them about democracy in order to get mineral deals? I don't think so. I mean, that's absurd. And then you go down to the next one, Egypt. Now, Egypt is, other than Israel, probably our best friend in the Middle East, and they've been certainly militaristically our best friend. So what did they do in Egypt? They asked them to do something publicly that there's not a snowball's chance in hell they'd ever do. You got to understand, a lot of Africa, most of Africa, is mostly Muslim. You need to understand that. And so they asked the president, in order to get a mineral deal, they asked the president of Egypt, we want you to publicly go on television, and we want you to endorse what? Israel's annexation of the West Bank. And we don't care if you've got millions of Muslims there that are liable to storm down the palace and kill you. That's what we want you to do. So let me stop. Nino, do you think that there's a snowball's chance in hell that deal will ever happen? That the president of Egypt ever going to go on TV and say that?
But no, knowing Trump, he'll get something done.
These are absurdities. These are just like he's waking us up about the things that are happening.
So this is to shine a light on them and bring the world's attention onto them.
That's it. That's what he's doing. And then the last one, this one, I don't even know how to say it. I want to be careful so we can stay on YouTube. But basically, Congo was one of the 13 nations that originally turned us down. And now I don't know who was involved in this. I certainly am not going to point a finger at any country, but something happened. Basically, the Congo is, I think, the largest country in Africa. It's huge. And Tanzania, no, Rwanda is next to them, and it's about a tenth the size, and they have very few minerals. So what happened is, there was a deal made by somebody somewhere that said, we'll give you Rwanda rebel forces, we'll give you all the weapons you need, and we want to buy minerals from you. Well, the deal was they didn't have the minerals. Congo had the minerals. So the next thing we know is Rwanda has amassed this major rebel force. They attack Congo. They immediately take out the second largest city in the country, 2 million people, and are marching towards the capital. And Donald Trump gets a phone call. Mr. President, he says, I've been watching what you're doing in the Ukraine. I would like to talk to you about a deal. I would like military protection from you, and in exchange for that, we can negotiate a minerals deal. Bang, it was signed. But somebody was mingling. I don't know who it was. And so now that shows you that nations of the world, I don't know who they are still on the path of basically coming into Africa and trying to suppress them and committing coups. So Trump gets the call, and I've got pictures of Secretary of State signing the agreement, and it was only a matter of a few weeks. And guess what? The rebel forces stopped, and we've got a nice, big, juicy mineral deal in the Congo. Wow. So things are never what you think they are. So that's pretty amazing if you ask me. And so now this is the twister. You're going to think when you first look at, I'm going to read every one of these bullet points. Well, why is he inserting this? Because here's the deal. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if these things I'm about to read you are good for us, They were good for every other nation in the world, but there's some twist in here. So here we go. This is what Donald Trump is behind his tariff deals. The media, what's like, tariff. It's going to cost you to have to pay more for goods, and it's terrible. No, it's what made us the number one nation in the world for the three most important things: for mining, for agriculture, and for manufacturing. Period. It was tariffs. So he wants loyal trading partners. That's why he's negotiating all these trade deals so we can get a parity with them. He wants sovereign borders. And he wants basically like Mexico. He wants the fentanyl to stop coming in from Mexico and from Canada. He has said all of the cartels are now terrorist groups, opening the door for him to go in. And so let's look at the exchanges. Nothing's ever what you think. So all of a sudden, all kinds of drones start flying over Mexico. And there's no real outcry from Mexican presidents. And Donald Trump says, now we've got these cartels signified as terrorists, so we can go in and take them out just like we have in other parts of the world. And the president of Mexico says, no, you can't do that. She has to say that because her people might turn against her and because the cartel.
How do you think she got in there?
Huh?
How do you think she got into power?
But what happened? We went in, I don't know if you fly drains, but we went in and made surgical strikes. And Trump has said we're going to do that in Latin America and in South America because those cartels are in 34 different countries. So you can't ever look at what you see. So if she really didn't want that to happen, there would have been all kinds of stink. But everything was just quiet. They went in and made a surgical strike against the cartels, and we've made a big dent in that. So you can't just watch the news cycles. That's why what I offer is unique, because I have a near photographic memory, and every cycle I go back and I go to the present and I go to the future after I've tied the dots together, and I tell you what's really happening. So basically, we're going to clean out the cartels, and that's going to be crucial to America going forward as the geopolitical structure of the world changes. Here's what's happening. If you look at Africa, China's falling. That's the other nation we need to be watching. And as it falls, the CCP is going to lose its power. The Chinese people have one of the biggest Christian churches in the world. It's underground. Once they're no longer a threat, here's what's going to happen that people don't realize. They're setting over with Asia and Europe side by side. 75% of the world's population is in proximity to China. So there's going to be a lot of trade happening between that portion of the world. We have to carve out, I just did a show on this last week. It's all the details of the geopolitical realignment. We have to create stability in our nation, in Canada and Mexico, down into Latin America, Panama Canal, down into South America. And then the whole world has to look at the nation in the middle. That's Africa. And we're all going to be contending for business with Africa. So basically, let's go on down. So here's the rest of what Trump wants. He wants a sovereign currency. That means we have a currency that's based on commodities, not based upon a fiat currency. He wants energy independence, built in America, by America, reduce waste and fraud, that's 𝗏𝗏, reduce the size of government, that's 𝗏𝗏, power back to the state and local government. Now stop and think. Can you roll back up to that slide for just 1 second? So stop and think. If that's the key to keeping America from having a financial collapse, and the key to us maintaining our power and going forward as at least one of the major world's reserve, one of the major countries of the world, why isn't it the formula for every other nation in the world? It is the formula for every other nation in the world. That's what we need to wake up to. This thing with tariffs with Trump is monumental. It's giving us a blueprint for peace and prosperity across the entire planet.
Wow.
Just give people what we want: parity, equality, financial stability, and freedom to make their own decisions and not be controlled, and the world will change forever. Let's go down to the next slide, and I think
this one or the next one? This one?
No, go back up because we didn't touch on that one. So I just want to basically have you say, I think a lot of people think of Africa and they think of people out in the back country and they don't have any water and they're starving to death.
𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶. That's what I picture.
Say that again, what?
I picture them going 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Some of that starvation is there, but I want you to look through these things. So basically, Africa has been denied the ability to take their mineral wealth and to basically process it. So there was one of the deals that was turned down. Trump wasn't involved. It was another country. They said, we want to buy your iron ore. We want to do a deal with you. And we'll give you all this money up front. So the president of the country said, I tell you, Will, he said, basically, here's the deal. We've done our homework. We will make $7 a ton if you take our oil, our iron ore out of the country raw. And then you're going to manufacture it and bring it back in as cars and so on and so forth. And you're going to make on average about $700 a ton. So here's the deal. You want our iron ore? Great. You'll do our deal. We will process the iron ore here and sell it to you as a value added product. So let's take that just one step further. And people don't understand. Africa has been quietly working behind the scenes and sending engineers to the best schools around the world. And so now Toyota is absolutely in a panic. Elon Musk is a panic. Germany's a panic. America's in a panic because there are two now threats to the auto industry coming out of Africa. 𝗪𝗡𝗄𝗎 is supposedly got an automobile that doesn't have to have any fuel of any kind. And then Africa, the country of, I always forget, it's the most important country in Africa right now, Burkina Faso, just announced, not a prototype, but they have rolled out a line of electric cars to compete with the world. So they're going to be now a competitor, not just a consumer. And here's the key. The reason all those countries are panicking is because you can't have an electric car without lithium and without copper. And guess who has more lithium and copper than anybody else in the world? Africa.
Wow.
And so Africa is now in a position to be a major competitor in one of the most important technologies in the world. Comments? I see you looking like you might want to say something.
No, this is incredible. I mean, obviously this is going to be this is the new hot spot. I can imagine Trump's also going to put some hotels there.
Yep. And then you see solar farms.
Right? I mean, I'm not even kidding on that. I would imagine there's a lot of real estate there that Trump might be eyeing. There's so much you could do with that.
Wherever there's a hot spot, look at Israel. Look at that demand that they made for annexing the West Bank. And what do you say? Hey, we'll redevelop it. It'll be the next Dubai. And what's Dubai doing? But Dubai is becoming the place everybody wants to go in the world. So yeah, absolutely. They're going to be energy independent. These are solar farms. They got wind farms. They've got conventional power plants, and they're working with Russia to have a nuclear power plant. And then look at that road system. So you got to have infrastructure if you're going to get your minerals to the ports. And so what's happening in Burkina Faso? They're building an interstate highway that's going to go to the ocean so they can get the raw materials around the world. They're building a new airport. They're building new airplanes. Look at that airplane. They got a university hospital, and they're taking all the key manufacturing that you need in order to have a baseline. They're now having a textile industry where they're not just taking their cotton, they're producing fabric. They're taking from subsistence farming that people are starving to death with no water and no tools. And they've got part of their university system is trained 8,000 farmers in the latest technology there is. And they're doing just exactly what America did. It's the blueprint from the past. They're saying, we have all kinds of lands. We're getting stability within the nation. And here's what, remember what they did back in America when we started the Industrial Revolution? Hey, folks, you can have a whole section, 660 acres of land. Just go out and put a farm on it and turn it into something valuable. That's what they're doing in Burkina Faso. They're saying, free land, guys. Go to our agricultural training school, learn how to be farmers, and guess what? We are going to have a new breadbasket in the world because they have some of the most fertile land and the best soil in the world. And Burkina Faso and Africa is going to become a breadbasket. And now that's another area they're going to compete in. So what do we got? Minerals, strike one. What do we got? Food, strike two. And what do we got? Technology. Think about the cars. Think about the things they're bringing out. They're going for the grand slam home run to have exactly what America caught when it became in 1876 the wealthiest nation in the world and claimed we have surpassed Britain, had a 300-year head start on us, and we now have the lead position in all three of these major factors that are responsible for making a nation great. Africa has got their act together, and we're going to play according to their rules, or we're not going to play. Look at that farm equipment down there. That's not from 100 years ago. And if you're going to build roads, you better have concrete. So basically, they're opening up concrete plants. And if you're going to have gold, you better refine it yourself. So what they did.
So all this is happening right now. There's it's kind of like a revolution happening in Africa right now. Its own industrial tech revolution happening right now.
Absolutely. And when we get to the end, you'll see
no one
exactly
would
what
ever
they're
guess
demanding.
either.
It's not, oh, we'd like to negotiate. Oh, please give us some money. So what did Trump just do? I mean, you gotta watch what he's doing. There's tells everywhere. So what was the first thing he did? He got a USAID, remember that? And he got out of the Federal Department of Education. Because we spend more money on education than every other nation in the world, and we rank 40th. But he got on USAID. And what did he just do a couple of weeks ago? He said, we're closing all the embassies in Africa, all of them. And what were they there for? They were there to dispense handouts. So you give a man food, you feed him for a day. You teach him to farm.
So now he's pushing him into the deals with us.
Yeah, you push him.
We just took away their handouts, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. So that's where he got it. Bam, took away their handouts. I didn't even know we were doing that, but it makes sense. So our tax dollars was going to feed Africa.
Yeah, massive amounts.
The richest in minerals and food. Harvesting they're the richest country, basically the richest.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're giving them money for wow.
And so now here's the deal he's saying. We're not going to feed you. That holds you down. We're going to make deals with you that will prosper us and will prosper you. So when this bombastic drip of all these insane things are happening that caused those 13 countries to say no, now Trump is going to.
So that's why his deals were so insane.
That's right. 145% tariff on China. And then guess what? Everybody says, Trump back down. Oh, whatever. He didn't back down. That was his first volley to get the news cycle in his hands and get the microphone. So all of this stuff you're seeing about these crazy things, they're just to create awareness, and then we'll come in and do fair deals. So he's laying the foundation. So what he did by saying all the embassies are closed, the charity is gone, now he's working the art of the deal. And I'm able to tie those dots together, I think, in a way most people can't. Yeah, that's the story.
Amazing. Do I go to the next slide?
Anyway, so here's what we're almost done with this thing. We've gone through pretty fast. Look at those new tractors out there. And I have another picture. I didn't want to make this too long. They showed one of the fields that they put in with this technology.
Which one? This one? Yeah.
No, I didn't put it in here because I got a longer version of this. But here's what you saw. You see these beautiful crops, all these tomatoes growing, all these things, and you see drones flying over, and you see little robots going down between the rows where they're putting the tomatoes in. I mean, it's amazing. So let's go over to this slide over here, and you see this picture of Africa. Africa's message to the world: business on our terms are not at all. Period. So this is just exactly what happened with OPEC. When OPEC said in '73, I was a whippersnapper at that time, and they said, we're cutting off oil. Period. Cutting it off. And you go to the gas station. There was a mile-long gas line, and they went by plate numbers. Evens one day, odds the next day, and they brought the world to their knees, and we did a deal with them that was fair and equitable. We gave them security, we gave them technology, and we helped them, and now they're one of the wealthiest nations in the world. That's the deal that Africa is going to demand from every nation that comes knocking on the door saying that they want to do something. So if you go to the next slide, we will see what they're basically demanding. There it is. They want the OPEC model. Do a fair deal, and we will give you what you want. Here's the deal. Trump went to Mexico, and he went to Canada, and he knew that he had the advantage. Why? Because he knew that our GDP was hugely larger than that of Canada or Mexico. He knew they needed us more than we needed them. Well, now the world needs Africa more than any other continent on the world. They're going to dictate terms there. And you know what? I'm so proud of them. When we get to the last slide here, this man you see, I want everybody out there to take a picture of this particular slide.
This man Traore or something. Traore.
Ibrahim Traore. He's my new hero. He is the embodiment of Donald Trump in Africa and the embodiment of Dr. Martin Luther King. He has come back, and instead of spitting vengeance and making threats, he's saying, we're going to create a better world. We're going to create a world where we all live in peace. We're not going to come with retributions. We just want fair deals, just like Trump. This man has rallied Africa together. He was the first one to say no to a major world power. Nope, we're not going to do that deal. Nope, it's going to be on our terms or not else. And they've tried to. I believe he's alluring by God, just like Trump. Trump's had what we know of at least 2, and we think several more assassination attempts made, right?
Right.
You want to take a guess, Nino, on how many assassination attempts they've made on this man?
More than Trump?
18.
Damn.
He has united Africa. I mean, his country, Burkina Faso, is not a big country, but it's become the most influential country in Africa because all those technologies that I showed you, they were focused on one country, Burkina Faso.
Damn.
There's other countries that are bigger and even more technology, but I wanted to show you what even a small country can do. So here's the key to having the money to not be dependent on it. So what they did is they contacted a bunch of other African nations, like what was happening in the Middle East when we just surprisingly had the Arab Spring with Gaddafi. He was trying to get a gold-backed currency. So what they did is they said, let's pool all of our gold. We will insist that we refine our own gold and keep it in the country. So now they have a strategic reserve of gold. And guess what they did? They issued their own gold-backed currency.
Wow.
That's sovereignty. That's power. That's leverage. And they're playing the playbook from the past. The playbook that's been used against them is now going to be the leverage to get the freedom. And in the process, since they're not coming with retribution, the whole world's going to benefit. And we're going to do just exactly what Trump said. We're going to move into a period where we have energy, and energy changes the entire dynamics of the world, opening the door so the wars can stop and peace and prosperity can come in. So I want everybody out there listening to this to go look up this man, 𝗵𝗶𝗱𝗶, Burkina Faso. Now, he's only the president of this little country, but there are buses pulling up all over Africa that have pictures of him on the back of the buses. And they're saying one day, this will be the United States of Africa.
Wow.
And maybe this will be our first president of the entire country. This man is the man to watch.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Should I go to the next
Nino,
slide?
we're almost done. So this is the most important slide of all. I showed you the one that said what Trump wants, right? And that's what every other nation should want. This is what they're saying. No, you don't understand. These are our demands. So China and Russia came into Africa well before us, while we sat back and did nothing except give charity. And so they've closed mines one after another. They've nationalized natural resources and said, get the blank out of our countries. And so now guess what's happening? They're coming back and they're saying, we'll take your deal. We're not going to negotiate. We'll take your deal because we need what you have. And so here's the driver's seat. This is the steering wheel that Africa holds, people. They want to do every deal where they have an equity position. And for those who might not have been in business, that means we retain partial ownership. And what do they want? 51% of ownership of every mineral have, every mining deal that they do, they retain control. And what's the next thing? What? They are demanding that no longer will their raw products be sent out to foreign countries for pennies on the dollar. They will process their steel, which they're doing. That's how they made their automobiles. They'll process their copper, they'll process their gold. So their deal says, we turn it into a value add and then we export it out. And the next thing, you owe us. Now, this is not retribution, but because we've held them down, I believe they believe that we owe them a little bit of help. So we will give them employment. It's not going to be the model that China set up with the debt trap, where every deal that was done with China, the project was built by Chinese. So whatever money they gave went right back to China because all the labor pool was theirs. So you use our people as much as possible, and you'll have a apprenticeship program attached to it. So eventually, after we've done a couple of projects, we'll be self-sustaining. So they want to eat. They want a seat at the table of prosperity. And then they have environmental oversights as a demand. So what did we do? Think back to the 60s. The oil companies went in, and when they got all the oil, the land was just absolutely like putrid. And the gold mines, there's a lot of toxicity from that. They said, you want to have a gold mine, you want to have a gold mine, you will leave it clean when you leave. And if you don't, we will kick you out, period. Just like we kicked all these other people out. And then they want security assurances and no strings, basically a straight up fair deal, just like you would want to have. So we'll give you the deal you want, you give us the deal we want, and everybody will be happy. It's parity and equality. And let's go on down to the next slide. So I know you've got some things to do, so I'm trying to talk fast, but I also want to give you an opportunity to chime in. Have you got any comments so far?
No, this is pretty amazing. Makes sense, though. Makes sense.
Africa
the
will
prize
no
of the
longer
world
be
now.
taken advantage of. What?
It's the prize. It's the big prize of the world.
Yep. And it's going to change the world. And I'm going to be doing a show next week on energy, and I'm going to shock you because here's the lead to this. With the energy developments that we're going to get, some of which are coming out of Africa, the central cost of every product you've ever bought. This is the absurdity of this claim about, oh, tariffs are going to drive up the cost. No, energy is coming in. That's the lead to the story. And when it comes in, here's what happens. Depending on how complex the logistics chain is for any given retail item, 40, 50, 60, even 70% of the cost of that product is energy. The energy it takes to mine it, to smelt it, to bring it to manufacture, to ship it around the world. So when we get the energy solutions that Trump's administration has already told us we're getting, he just signed 4 executive orders just the other day that are telling us absolutely we're getting it. So we're going to walk through his tariff plans. We're going to walk through what Africa is demanding, and we're going to walk into virtually free energy that is going to reduce the cost of everything, and we're going to have peace and prosperity. So Africa's demanding terms, and I want to read this. This is from 𝗵𝗶𝗱𝗶𝗶, the man that I say is, the Donald Trump and the Dr. Martin Luther King rolled up into one. Together, we will build a new economic system, one that is founded on fairness, on equality, on cooperation. It is time for Africa to define its own values. And then
the world is
I think,
changing, man. The
yeah,
world is changing.
this is, I think, the last slide, except for an endorsement of my books and a little help. So this is him again, and I'm going to read something. Here's what happened. He had a conference. He pulled a whole bunch of the nations from Africa together and said, let's chart our future. That's what he was talking about there. And there had been somebody who had kind of supported him, who was a retired diplomat. He invited him to come. His name was Michael Thompson. He went totally as a private citizen. And then he shocked people when he asked him to come. He's American. He didn't know what he was going to say. He asked him to come up and say something. Here's what he said. And then I want to walk you into what that did. This is this quote. Michael Thompson, a private citizen, says, America was part of a system that claimed to be what? Peacekeepers, but were power keepers who spoke of democracy while propping up those which silenced it with strings thicker than chains. So think back to that first slide we had where we found out we were exposed that we had been supporting coups in Africa for control. And then here's what happened. 𝗂𝗂𝗶𝗋𝗄 had said some things not too complimentary about 𝗀𝗏. So they were in a far storm. So now what happens is he realizes the world is following this man and Africa is going to be treated fairly. So what did he do? He says, oh my gosh, we've got to think about changing. So what did he do? And this was all in the work already. It was all just a plan. So what happened? He took the man who went as a private citizen, who 𝗀𝗏 was willing to listen to, Africa was willing to listen to, because they thought he was impartial. And they said, we're going to send him back as a U.S. envoy. And he went back, and basically, he went back to listen. And 𝗀𝗏 said, if you're willing to come to listen, we will listen. So the talks are beginning. The process is beginning to shift. The drip is beginning to come out, and the future is going to be bright. Let's go on. Now here, folks, I have an announcement. I've got a new book coming out. For those who follow me know that my first book only got out because a woman at Harrison House said, no publisher is going to publish you. And she says, here I am in a publishing company. I've got money. She published it for me. Well, now I don't have that luxury. So with what happened with the Department of Education, I have an opportunity. When they got rid of the federal part of education, it opened up the opportunity to get a book out, to go into the schools, to keep our children from coming out wondering what sex they are, to keep them from coming out as good communists, to basically have them be Christians, conservatives, Americans, and people who are part of the family of God. So this book is critical. I've had it done for quite a while. I just had to bring it out and put all the new stuff. Anyway, I don't have the money because, again, they're blocking me. So I had to go to a publisher, pay her a lot of money to get this book out. And we're Originally, I was going to need 13,500, but she found out it was more complicated. So I need 14,500. We're 90% of there. So anybody who feels like they'd like to support getting a book into the schools to open our children's eyes and to get the next generation to be conservatives and Christians, click on that link and make a small donation. And then the last is, if you want to follow me, then click that link below. You can buy the book there, or at least you'll be able to follow me and know who I am and what I'm doing. With that,
Beautiful.
Nino, I think we got it done within your time frame.
No, you did, man. Thank you. And that was an incredible presentation as always. As always, I just sit back and listen to you because it's so much. You're such a wealth of information. I chime in here and there, but hey, I don't like to get in the way of your presentations. They're awesome. So thank you so much, Larry, for coming on, folks. I hope you learned something. Follow Larry and donate to him. Let's get this book out there. Amazing stuff, Larry. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Nina. It's always a pleasure.